Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and I'm going to give you a bit of a quick analysis on an article I read recently on CoinDesk.com, and it's regarding Goldman Sachs saying that they're eyeing a Bitcoin price around $4,000. And obviously right now we've seen a lot of bloodbaths in the markets over the recent period of time, and it's not a bad thing. This is a breather that needs to happen eventually, or else it's going to happen even worse later on. And of course, no markets are immune to some form of manipulation, even cryptos. But I thought this article was quite interesting because, well, right now Bitcoin's at $25.79 US, and I mean, it's decentralization, that's key. But as Goldman Sachs says, Bitcoin markets could rise as high as $3,900 in the future, according to a recent client note from investment bank Goldman Sachs. The note from the bank chief technician, Sheba Jafari, published by financial news site Zero Hedge, argues that Bitcoin could consolidate sideways for a while longer, highlighting a possible low of $1,857 and eventually targeting a figure of $3,212. The analysis from Goldman comes weeks after Jafari published a more bearish analysis of the digital currency's prospects. It was around that time when Bitcoin markets briefly surpassed the $3,000 mark. According to the CoinDesk Bitcoin Price Index, prices reached an all-time high of $3,018.55 on 11th June. At press time, markets are currently trading around $25.95, and of course, as I do this, like I said, it's at about $25.79. In the note, Jafari posts that Bitcoin markets are in the fourth wave of a sequence that dates back to late 2010. As for what comes next, Jafari acknowledges that fourth waves tend to be messy and complex. Jafari goes on to write, this means that it could remain sideways, overlapping for a little while longer. At this point, it's important to look for either an ABC pattern or more triangle ABCDE. The former would target somewhere close to $1,856, providing a much cleaner setup from which to consider getting back into the uptrend. The latter would hold within a 2,076 to 3,000 range for an extended period of time. Either way, eventually expecting one more leg higher, a fifth wave. From current levels, Bitcoin has a minimum target that goes out to 3,212 if equal to the length of wave 1, Jafari wrote. There's potential to extend as far as 3,915 if 1.618 times the length of wave 1. It just might take time to get there. Now, it's an interesting analysis, and a lot of people are saying, well, this might be evidence of them trying to do a little bit of a pump and dump scheme. So they say the price is going up, so people buy and it causes the price to go up, which is a reasonable explanation. However, I do have to say that it's really unlikely for them to be able to properly pump and dump Bitcoin to the extent that many are worried about, where it will actually crash. You see, it's scarcity answers for that issue. So when there's 21 million Bitcoins in existence, that'll always bring the scarcity up, and that'll bring the price far above $4,000 eventually. Now, I'm no champion, kingpin, crypto expert. I leave that to people like Jeff Berwick of the Dollar Vigilante and at Stephen Kendall on Steemit. But the point of the matter is, Goldman Sachs has been involved in a lot of schemes in the past when it comes to a cashless system, but centrally planned. And obviously they want to cash in on Bitcoin as well because they see the potential. Now, is there a possibility of a major dump at some time in the future? Of course, I think it's reasonable to expect that the banking system will try to buy up a whole bunch of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and then, you know, years down the line where it actually makes sense for them to dump something at that extent, they will. But until then, I don't think that we have to worry, and I think that's many, many years down the line. Now, I do think that it's important to point out that I'm a gold bug. I love gold and silver. I think there's a huge amount of potential in gold and silver, and I would definitely diversify because, of course, once the economy crashes, which it will, eventually, the fundamentals are off the table, but the fact is it will happen eventually. You just can't put a date on it. Those chains will be broken and the banking system goes down, and so does the manipulation of gold and silver, and it'll jump back up. And I think the same would go for Bitcoin as it is anyway. I think they're just trying to kind of reserve something for themselves using a decentralized currency. So I'm not going to give you a really in-depth analysis because I leave that up to the pros, obviously, but I think that it's important to go over some of these facts and look at the fact that we are sick of the central banking system, the centrally planned central banking system, the fiat paper currency nothingness that we're watching, as well as the crazy attempts at a cashless system that we're watching from all directions as well. And as that happens, it's good to diversify, it's good to ensure your wealth for the future, and I think that it's really good that people are looking into cryptocurrencies to the extent that they are. Obviously, the value is going way up lately, and then we've seen a lot of bloodbaths, which, like I said, are just minor corrections that are breathers that are very much necessary. But with that said, I do think that it's worth being careful and not just investing in currencies or assets without actually understanding them, because a lot of people don't know much about what they're investing in, and they just put a bunch of money in it and hope that, you know, these experts on TV are right. Now, obviously, the so-called experts on TV and in other places in the newspapers, etc., have been claiming that Bitcoin is in a bubble for many, many years now, and they've been saying that since it was about $20, and now it's way up. I think that people have to do their own due diligence, but I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. I've also been looking at Steem, Golem, Ethereum, Dash, and Litecoin personally. Not a huge fan of Dash and Litecoin, but I think that they have been holding their own to some extent, and I think there's a potential for a massive skyrocketing in the next several years. I really put a lot of faith in the whole, you know, scarcity issue, because obviously it takes a supernova to create gold, and that's what creates its scarcity. That's why it goes up in value, among many other reasons as well. And the same goes for cryptocurrencies. So if Bitcoin only has 21 million in existence, then eventually, you know, they're going to stop creating these Bitcoins in the next several years. And when that happens, we're going to see a massive demand, and there's going to be skyrocketing in the value. So I think that we've seen enough millionaires come out of the Bitcoin system. I think that there's going to be a lot of anarchists coming out of the cryptocurrency system very rich and very well off. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. I think it's up to individuals to make their own personal decisions. I think that it is sketchy when Goldman Sachs gets involved in this kind of stuff. I do understand the hesitance, but I think that in the next 7 years or so, we're going to see just a massive, overwhelming jump in the value of these cryptocurrencies, especially the ones that are actually real cryptocurrencies, not the banker coins that we've seen so many of in the past several years, like Monero and Ripple. So anyway, like I said, check out the Dollar Vigilante and check out Stephen Kendall on Steemit. And those are the guys that you want to follow, but I have been studying this for a long enough time to have some say on the matter, and I'll be back at you with much more, so check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, we can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also find me at Josh Sigurdson at Steemit.com. That's Steemit.com. Social media website that pays you in cryptocurrencies to blog. Now I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes here, so I will talk to you soon. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.